But first, a couple of Aussie fashion brands are in trouble from the Ad Standards Bureau because they had, wait for it, skinny women in their ads. I know you're shocked that the fashion industry would be using skinny women in their advertisements, but these days that does get you in trouble with Ad Standards, which is the watchdog that looks after these things in Australia. One of them is a brand called Age. You can see here some of the images that they got in trouble for. I'm sure if you are a female viewer, you may well be across Age. I can't say I've bought a great number of their products because they don't appeal to me, but I'm sure they may appeal to you at home. But these are the photographs that they used and they got in trouble for. And then there was another one called Beck and Bridge, that's another brand, and they had this on the front of their website. And yes, you can see that these girls are skinny, women I should say, and they may or may not be underage. Women are skinny, but this now falls in breach of the standards and they had to take them down in the adjudications handed down by Ad Standards. In the case of Age, they said the panel considered that while it could not make a determination on whether the woman depicted is actually unhealthy, the posing of the woman emphasised her slight stature and the impression that she is unhealthily thin. The panel considered that most members of the community would consider that such a depiction is irresponsible and promotes an unrealistic body image that would be unattainable through healthy practices. And in the case of Beck and Bridge, they said the panel considered the depiction of the woman on the left and the woman in the centre, that is the one you saw before. The panel considered that both women appeared very thin. The panel considered that the style of makeup and photography made their faces look pale and gaunt, and their bodies appeared thin and out of proportion to their heads. The panel noted that while it could not make a determination on whether the women depicted are actually unhealthy, it considered that the overall impression is that they are unhealthily thin. I mean, I don't get it. I'm not sure what the issue is. I understand that there have been, ebbs and flows and waves in terms of body standards that have been used in advertising and in the fashion industry, and have had a move towards plus-size models and all of this sort of thing in the last few years. But the reason that supermodels have generally been very skinny, as far as I understand it, is that they are literally meant to be human coat hangers. They're not actually there for their beauty. They're not there because they look good. They're there because the designer wants their clothes to drape in a certain way when they're worn. Is that not what...
Have you looked at a model recently? I mean, they're all usually drop-dead gorgeous.
Well, some supermodels have traditionally had, shall we say, an unusual facial structure.
They're beautiful, but I think the issue here with this, Caleb, is I think a lot of your viewers will remember back in the 1990s and the early 2000s where it was that heroin chic, where you think of Kate Moss, who used to say, nothing tastes as good as what skinny feels. And I think when you see photos like that, my concern when I saw the one in particular, I didn't have an issue with any of the others other than the one when the girl had her arms behind her back and you could see her protruding muscles in her back. Now that does look like someone is too skinny, and I think we don't want to be setting those unrealistic body image expectations of what we used to see back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And it was Giorgio Armani who started to change the way where he said, I don't want to have skinny models on the catwalk during my shows. And we really started to see there was one model who actually passed away after she walked off the catwalk because she'd had heart failure because she had literally starved herself for 3 months. So we don't want to be going back to that time. And so I think that's what those images probably caused some concern for people when they saw them and thought, yikes, we're happy now with the look of being fit and healthy, and that's the type of model that you want to see because that's realistic. Not many people are super, super, super skinny. You want to see clothes that you can see yourself in.
Yeah, and I think society tends to swing in these pendulums. So in the 90s and the 2000s, it was let's be ultra skinny. And then in the 2010s, it's let's swing all the way back and have plus size everywhere and just reject the idea of beauty standards full stop. But now when you look at people like Sydney Sweeney, who do occupy, I think, that spot in our culture of being the most attractive model and actress, she's more normal. She's not as skinny. She doesn't look emaciated emaciated and like she's going to drop dead after a photo shoot, and that's healthy. So I think this move back to the extremely skinny look is just not helpful. But at the same time, we have to ask, well, why did this brand choose those models in the first place? Now, they would only choose them if they thought that would sell more clothes. And so that's the other thing. We can sit here and complain, oh, unrealistic beauty standards, but people are buying the clothes, and often they're buying them because of what they look like on the models. So if we want to change it, let's change our attitudes before getting bodies like the ad regulator to start issuing takedown notices.
And there are skinny people in the world. So do skinny people not deserve to have depiction in
the issue was that they looked unhealthy.
But I don't think they look unhealthy.
But I think if you look at the actual image, because you can see the model's face in the pictures if you look online, and some of them look as though they have their head looks bigger out of proportion to their body. And so when you are looking at that...
But how tall are they? I mean, I can't tell you how tall they are, which affects you.
But you can see in that picture... Look, I'm not a medical expert by any stretch, and I'm not pretending to be, but you can see in that image there, Caleb, like that front model with the white singlet, her head looks incredibly larger than her body, and so that's the issue, is that they look unhealthy. There's nothing against skinny people because then their head is often in proportion with their body.
I think it's also part of the way that the head is turned in the photograph. Look, I'm happy for ad standards to say that people are too skinny to be in ads when they also decide that people are too fat to be in ads. because seriously, if the point is that it is unhealthy to depict people as being too skinny, then surely it is also unhealthy to depict people as too fat, because you are encouraging that as a beauty standard and glorifying it.
Caleb, you can be healthy at any size,
actually.
No, I'm with you on that point, for sure.